Kia ora, it's Claire from Santulan Yoga. So we're going to take a look at trikonasana or triangle pose, and we'll break down the basics of alignment and where to place all the areas of your body. So if you haven't done this pose before, what can be useful is you can have a wall to help you with your balance, because there will be a little bit of a balance element in this pose of trikonasana. If you have done it before, then do feel free to do it out in open space on your mat. So to start off with trikonasana, we'll start in the middle of our mat, and you can either step the feet out or you can jump the feet out. I like to jump the feet out. It gives you a better stance because you want a nice wide stance with the legs. Ideally, you'd like the feet about 4 feet apart, or if you can imagine, you pop one of your legs off and laid it down between your feet, you want the same spacing as your leg length. So we want an equilateral triangle. So this leg position is where we get the name for trikonasana or triangle pose. So we'll start with the right leg, and we're going to do some rotation with the legs. So not just the foot, not just the knee, but we want the action coming from the hip. So we're rotating the whole of that right leg out 90 degrees. So toes, heel, knee, hip, we want to be opening out to the right. Left leg, we'll just rotate inwards. So bringing those toes to a 45-degree angle. So essentially we want both of the legs rotating over to the right, but with this left leg not so strong, so 45 degrees for this leg. With the feet in this position, we just want to get our feel, get our bases of our feet correctly. So pressing down through the right heel, we want to have the feeling of pressing on the outside part of the foot, so the pinky side of the foot, and then bringing that weight back over to the big toe. So pressing down at the big toe and pressing slightly outwards on the right edge of that foot. Same with the left leg, pressing outwards to the pinky toe side and lifting up through the inner part of the ankle. So no rolling in, we want to be essentially rolling out with that left foot. So getting that basis right, then we'll make sure these hips are facing forward. So our body's not heading to the right in the same direction as our legs. We want our body to be square to that long edge mat. So this is where you'll start to feel that rotation through the leg, where the leg attaches onto the hips. All right, left hand and arm into the small of the back. Using the pressure of that arm, have the sensation of tucking the bottom under, pushing those hips forward. Right hand on right thigh. Growing tall through the spine, rolling those shoulders back and down, keeping open through the chest. Now, this is important as you start to come down. If you've got the wall behind you, you can have your bottom and your back against the wall. If you're out in the center of the room, the sensation that I want you to have is if you're squeezing yourself between 2 buildings that are very close by. So for this next moment, we want to bring the right side of our body in the direction of the right leg. So keeping the hips square is important here. So we don't want to be leaning forward. We want to be moving sideways to the right. And just bringing the hand down to a place that's most comfortable for you. Now with this right hand, we either want the hand above the knee or below the knee. And just finding that spot. Now this can be quite intense on the hamstrings, so it will depend on how tight your legs are as to how far you go. And if you don't go very far, that's fine. We're just working towards that direction. Another option is to have a block. You can have the block in front, or you can have the block behind, just whatever you feel most comfortable with, and depending on the tightness of the legs will depend on how high you pop that block. So I'm going to pop it on the highest level, placing the hand flat on top of the block. All right, once you've found your balance, either keep making sure that spine and neck are in alignment. So just being careful that we're not flopping the head down, we're not crooking the neck and looking up. We want to make sure that the head and neck is in a neutral position. And a few options here with your drishti or your viewpoint for your eyes, either looking straight ahead. If the balance is a challenge, you can turn and look down towards the right foot. But if the balance is okay, we'll start to lift that left arm straight up, fingertips pointing straight up to the ceiling, and we can turn our head and look up towards that left arm. So with the arm placement, we want both arms in alignment, staying open through this chest, rolling those shoulders back and down again onto the back. This will help keep the alignment of the shoulders. And of course, if at any point this is getting too much, then do please come out. Nice, long, deep breaths. Once you're in this position, have a feeling of sinking down through the right hip and sticking that left hip outwards. Slightly pressing that right hip forward. And making sure we're rotating up those ribs. So this is a great posture to work every part of the body. Every part of the body is working here. All right, one more breath. And when you're ready, bending through that right knee. Takes a bit of pressure off the legs and bringing the torso back up to standing. Right, now if that is all too much for the legs, another option here is we can bend through that right knee and we can just bring the right forearm down to the right knee or bring that arm down to the block again. This just takes a bit of pressure off those right hamstrings. Right, now we'll do that on the left side. And if the legs are a bit tight, then do feel free to walk those legs back together, give them a little shake if they need. It can be quite intensive on the legs. Right, so left side this time, stepping or jumping the feet out. And making sure we've got a nice distance between the feet. That equilateral triangle. And it may seem contrary, but having a wider stance is better than having a shorter stance. Shorter stance, you will find that you might wobble all over the place. Right, so left leg this time, rotating the hip, turning those left toes at 90 degrees. Toes, knees, hip. Right leg this time, bringing those toes in at 45-degree angle. Left leg pressing down through the heel, down through the outside of the foot, the pinky side, and then also pressing down on that big toe joint, making a nice, stable, even stance there. Same with the right foot, pressing down through the heel, through the pinky side of the foot, and pressing down through the big toe. But with this right foot, just a slight outward pressure to that foot. So it's actually rolling the ankle outwards. You're also lifting out through the inner part of the arch and this right foot. Squaring the hips to the long edge of the mat. Bring the right arm to the small of the back. Left hand on left thigh. Growing tall through the spine. Roll those shoulder blades back and down. Once you feel balanced and ready, having that sensation of squeezing yourself through two pulls, and bring the left side of the body over to the left. Finding that point of resistance where you're feeling the stretch but you're not in any pain, and hand either above the knee or below the knee, or you can have your block there next to your foot. Once you've found your balance, roll those shoulders back and down again, making sure the spine and the neck and the head are in alignment. Lifting that right arm up, fingertips up to the ceiling, palm facing forward. Making any adjustments with the arms. Making sure those arms are in alignment. Sinking down through that left hip, sticking the right hip out. Pushing slightly forward with the pelvis. Finding your drishti point, your focal point for your eyes, whether looking forward, down at your left foot, if the balance is a bit of a struggle today, or up at the right hand. Holding for as long as you feel comfortable. And as always, when we're doing things with a left and a right side, just making a note of how this side feels compared to the right side. Maybe it's a bit easier. Maybe it's a little bit more of a struggle. Just making a mental note of that. Breathing into any tight spots in the body. And as we exhale, softening and relaxing those spots, allowing the body to settle. And if this is getting a little too much on those hamstrings, do feel free to bend through that left leg. Give that left hamstring a little break again. Wherever you are, take one more breath. And if the knee isn't bent, bending through that left knee and bringing the body back up to step. Right, walking or maybe jumping the legs back together. Give the legs a little shake. And thank you for joining me for the trikonasana basics. I'll see you in the next video. Hariom Tatsat.